Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Looking for My Fit podcast. Y'all, I'm so excited. You don't even understand. Today's guest has literally, this is no exaggeration, changed my life. Changed my. I need y'all to get into this. I want y'all to know the only makeup I have on my face are these lips. This is
It's all you.
all. I don't have no extra tinted moisturizer, no
No.
powder. I have nothing but skin, and it is because of this amazing woman. She is a licensed esthetician and skin therapist, but I simply call her the skin miracle worker. Y'all, welcome my girl, Airest Dion.
You're so silly, Jamaica. Thank you. Thank you so much for such a wonderful and heartfelt introduction.
Girl, I mean this from the bottom of my soul. You
Mm,
and Tasha, that's how we met.
yeah.
I'll talk about Tasha in a sec. Y'all always listen. Anything y'all need, I got y'all.
Yeah.
Got y'all. So look, y'all, no, for real. This skin, seriously, get into it. You don't,
Mhm. It's
before
beautiful.
I met Eris, I had so many dark spots, acne. I was
Mhm.
oily, but it was also dry. It was
Yeah.
just so much going on with my skin. And I had just thought that I was just stuck with it. I was like, I've been dealing with this for years, and I just couldn't imagine even, there's no way I would have thought I would have gotten here. Like,
Wow.
no way. I went through high school and had no acne. I don't know how I skipped that part.
Right.
But
That's
like,
usually
I was
the
like,
worst part for people.
yeah, I was like, okay. And then as an adult, I would have a couple breakouts here and there. Then I had a baby. And it's like
Yeah.
my everything changed.
Hormones changed. Yeah.
Yes. All of this acne, and I've just been dealing with it for years. And
Yeah.
so Tasha, who is a friend of both of ours,
Yeah.
spoke life over me one day. She texted me out the blue and was like, Meek, you getting ready to do big things. You talk about seeing something. I'm like, I received that. She was like, and your face
Yes.
is going to need to be out to the public. And I want to help you. And I love her for that because, sometimes you can be a little iffy to say something like that to somebody.
Right.
And she was like,
Very good point.
yeah. And so, just for her to love me enough to be like, hey, I love you. Let's see if we can get this skin cleared up. She's like, I'm going to put you in with my girl, Airest.
Mhm.
I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but I was looking at one point for somebody and I found you,
Ah,
but I never tried to get on because you were booked. It was like,
yeah.
couldn't get in. So I think that speaks to who you are, but she gave me one of your appointments, one
Yeah,
of
one of
her
her
appointments.
appointments. Yep.
Yes, and Eris.
And I remember when she told me that, I thought the same thing. I was like, because she told me a little bit about you and what you were getting ready to do. And she was like, if it's okay with you, I'd like to give my appointment to one of my friends. She's going to be doing this. I really want her skin to get together. And that almost brought a tear to my eye because I was like, talk about love. I was like, girl, yes, send her in.
Is that not love?
So
Now,
much love.
but Eris, I mean this with so much sincerity when I call you a miracle worker. I think a lot of times, so I have been to dermatologists and all kinds of people who,
Mm-hmm.
one, did not even remotely have what your coming to you is an experience. It is
Thank you.
not just a facial. It's a whole ex y'all, I can't even put into words. You got to see it for yourself. You don't live in Charlotte, come to Charlotte, get you an appointment and get with her. But after one treatment, you showed me the mirror at the end of that.
Yeah,
And I was like, what?
it's crazy.
Not like a day later, 2 days later, immediately following, you gave me the mirror. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's my face.
Yep.
So,
I remember.
yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to stop talking. I could talk about you forever. I'm so
Ah,
serious. But I want you on here for a couple reasons today. One, I just
right.
want people to see who has changed this face in this life. But two, you have such an amazing story. And so I'm going to shut my mouth and I'm handing it over to you. Tell me
Yeah.
how you even got to this point of figuring out that this was your passion or this was your purpose or this is where you were supposed to be for now.
Absolutely. So my story is actually very similar to yours, Jamaica. Um, Starting a little bit before I started having issues with my skin, I just always have been one of those types of people where I've just always felt like I'm here to do something, you know? So all through high school and through college, I'm like, what is this thing? Like, it was like an itch that I couldn't find, you know? It was like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing something. What is it? So I experimented with a lot of different occupations, a lot of different jobs. Like, I was a personal stylist, I was a chef, I did natural hair. Like, I did some of everything, right? Dabbling in a lot of things, trying to find. I was like, if I could just experience it, I know what it feels like,
Yeah.
right? I know how it will feel when I find that thing. So always have felt like there has been a calling on my life is the point there. And so it has always been, you know, this search or this quest for it, or to kind of uncover it within myself. So I have, along that time of doing that searching, I had always struggled with skin issues, right? So when I was in high school is when it started. And this was probably like around freshman year of high school. I cheered, I was captain of my cheerleading team, made varsity as a junior. Like, so it was always at games and, you know, in front of people. And I did the morning announcements in high school. And so always like, it was like, okay, always was in front of people, right? But always had this issue with self-confidence because of how my skin looked. And it was bad. I mean, acne breakouts, there was a point where there was not a clear space on my skin. The hyperpigmentation, the dark spots, and especially with us being a little bit more fair, you see those dark spots so much more.
Glaring.
Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, acne breakouts everywhere. And so, and interestingly enough, both my parents have beautiful, clear skin. I don't know.
Mine too. And my brother. I was
where
like,
they came from. Right. So my mom, bless her heart, was so sympathetic. And we were living in Pensacola, Florida at the time. And she was about a year's span where she made appointments with like every single notable dermatologist in our city. She's like, I got to get my baby's skin clear. Like, I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And we went to probably 5 or 6 different skincare professionals, each time thinking, okay, this is going to be it. You know, we're going to find something, we're going to do something. And each of them recommending a different chemical treatment, a different topical cream, a different pill, a different antibiotic. And so at the end of that year, you know, we would go to one dermatologist, we would test out whatever they recommended for about 3 months or so, and then nothing would improve or it would get worse. And then we're like, okay, let's find somebody else. And we'll go through that same thing. So by the end of that year and a half, my skin was in worse shape than when I began. It was so much more sensitive now. I had even more breakouts. My skin was burned from the topical creams, right? And then that left scarring.
yes.
So it was just a mess, you know, to tell you the truth. Now, at the time, I also had other health issues, right? I had really heavy, painful periods, very heavy, painful cycles. I had digestive issues. And so, in relationship to regulating my cycle, my doctors put me on birth control. And this was probably about my sophomore, junior year of high school.
Yeah.
And as a side effect of that, you know, consuming those synthetic hormones, it kind of balanced my skin out, right?
Yeah.
So I had less breakouts. I was starting to wear makeup then. So I was like, well, I can at least cover the scars, you know, at least I'm not having as, you know, frequent breakouts. And I wasn't bedridden for a week every month when my cycle came. So I kind of like coasted with that, right? I was like, well, I'm not going to try and figure out what's causing it anymore. I'm just going to be thankful that I'm not in pain and that my skin, you know, isn't looking crazy. So I went on with that my sophomore, junior, senior year, freshman year of college, right? I started to take this interest in health and wellness. So I had majored in organizational communications at University of North Carolina at Charlotte. And they had a concentration under that communications major, which was health communications. So you would essentially be the person that would implement different health campaigns into corporate organizations, basically help to keep their workforce healthy, right?
Oh.
So you would create like juice cleanses, or would do like exercise meetup groups for the company and for the employees. So I was like, that seems cool. And it was something that I was kind of drawn to. So I selected that as my concentration and really started to get into the health and wellness industry. And I started researching different things and started watching different YouTube videos, reading different books on people about health and nutrition, and came across several articles about the negative health effects of oral contraceptive, of birth control.
Yep.
Right. And so I was like, well, I have a history of hormonal imbalances. I really shouldn't be taking these synthetic hormones, right?
Yeah.
So I made the decision to take myself off of birth control.
Oh.
And was cool. I was like waiting for something to happen, right?
You said, what did that do? Because I know usually
I was like on go. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, let me see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And for about a year and a half, I was cool. So I was like, okay, awesome. My skin was still relatively clear, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't have any pain again with my menstrual cycle. And so, but about that year too, right?
Oh.
So I'm guessing at this point, and I hear this story a lot, especially with clients who are dealing with hormonal acne and they've been on oral contraceptives before. It takes about a good 2 to 3 years to really get those chemicals out of your system, right?
Oh, when they do.
Honey, my skin
Oh.
was worse, Jamaica, than when I was in high school.
Girl, that is just
right?
so, I feel that.
So I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? In the meantime, had graduated from high school, right?
Yeah.
Got my first job in my major in communications, was working, you know, and just stressed out, just really not liking the job that I had, working long hours, trying to make ends meet, you know, so many other life issues, but the pain with my cycle had returned. I decided to leave that job, was working other odd end jobs, and just generally was just in a state of depression, to be honest with you. Still didn't feel like I had any direction in my life. I didn't feel like I was doing what I was sent here to do. And just for probably like a good 4 years was just really lost, to be honest with you. And then I was unemployed for a period of time and finally got this job. Hallelujah, girl. This is my testimony, girl. Got this job working at Mattress Firm, Jamaica, right? Had been out of work. Seriously, had been out of work for like a year and a half and finally got this opportunity. And I was like, I don't want to sell mattresses, Lord, but okay, you know, that's all I had.
Yeah.
Went in, sold the mattresses, girl. That made me even more depressed. But, you know, it served its purpose because I was at work one day, and this is kind of like where things started turning around. Oh, okay, I missed the part. So in 2013, I had just moved into my first house, right?
Okay.
And moving was really expensive. I think I shared this story with you before. Moving was really expensive. And so I was like, I'm gonna put myself on a budget, right? Until I can kind of recoup my expenses. And this was probably like 2 years before I had started working on Mattress Firm. I bought my house and the following year I got laid off, right?
Oh.
So I was like, I'm just going to recoup my expenses. So when I thought about putting myself on a budget, the first thing that came to mind was, okay, I'm going to cut back on my weekly grocery expenses. So when I looked at my receipts from my groceries, I was like, well, meat is the most expensive thing on here.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
And I'm like, and on top of that, I never really liked preparing or touching or dealing with raw meat. When I was living at home and my mom was cooking the meals, I just show up at the dinner table and I just eat what had been made. But now that I was out on my own and I was actually having to make my own meals, I just didn't like really dealing. I didn't like the smell. I didn't like the look. I'm like, this is an actual leg of a chicken.
Stop, Airest.
Right? This is weird to me. And so, but I'm like, I'm gonna eat it, not season, wash it, season it up, cook it up, eat it, right? But it was weird. So I was like, since I don't like it anyway, and it's expensive, I'm just for like a month or two gonna do without meat until I get back on my feet, right? At this point, again, my acne had come back, raging with a vengeance, debilitating cramps during my menstrual cycle to the point where I was like bedridden, like could not go to work, could not function, could not feed myself, just literally in the bed for 7 to 8 days, right?
Wow.
I was overweight, Jamaica. I was over 200 pounds at the time. And again, dealing with digestive issues. Every time I would eat anything, my stomach would just swell up, would just become really bloated, like I was almost 8 months pregnant, like just a lot of discomfort.
Wow.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to take this meat out until I'm able to get back on my feet. And so that's exactly what I did. When I went to the grocery store, I got my chickpeas and my lentils and my wild rice and my brown rice and my quinoa, and I got lots of vegetables and different seasonings and spices, and that's kind of was like my thing for that time. I just would steam vegetables, make mashed potatoes, have some type of whole grain, you know, would just have a lot of fun in the kitchen making these meals. And then I would get on the internet and I'd be like, okay, different recipes that I could make. And I would look up different recipes and they would have meat in it. And I would just take it out or substitute it with like a bean or chickpeas or something like that. And so during that time, I was like, this is really fun. Like, I like being in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Now that I'm not having to deal with like parts of dead animals, this is kind of cool.
Airest.
I'm serious.
Carnivores, convicted carnivores.
No shade to nobody. This is my story.
I'm coming over. Yeah, no, I'm coming over though, Airest. So coming over, listening to you, I'm like, you are right. You are right. Okay, go on.
It's just how I felt, right? I didn't tell nobody what they need to do, but I was just like, this is cool now that I'm not having to deal with that. So I had a lot of fun in the kitchen making these meals, right? So about 3 weeks into this, I had posted a picture on Instagram. One of my girlfriends from college was like, Airest, are you losing weight? And I had told you because I had posted a picture with like my hand on my hip and you could like see my collarbone.
Oh, that's the one.
I didn't even know I had a collarbone. Didn't know it was there, right? Because it had been hidden this whole time. And I was like, you know what? I have noticed my clothes fitting a little bit differently. I hopped on a scale and I had lost 20 pounds.
Wow.
Jamaica, in 3 weeks.
What?
Hadn't seen the inside of a gym. And I know this really isn't that common. There are some people who make this transition and they see weight loss that quickly. But from my understanding, it's not that common. But for me, in that 3 weeks, I had lost 20 pounds. I wasn't working out. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing yoga, nothing. Just from simply taking out pork, beef, fish, seafood, everything out of my diet, right? So something else that I noticed was I used to wake up every morning with a new breakout, right? There would be some type of new bump somewhere on my face when I watched it the next morning. And I was noticing that it was like 5, 6, 7 days before I was experiencing a new breakout. And I'm like, this is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Now, at the time, I didn't know what was causing that change because, again, I come from a traditional Southern family. Everything was fried, canned vegetables, frozen vegetables. Like very rarely did we have fresh, whole food.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I wonder if it's, me not eating meat anymore. I wonder if that has anything to do with this. So of course I go online and I'm like, okay, let me see, clear skin, no meat, see what pops up, right?
Yeah.
And of course I'm like inundated with all of this information, all of these case studies, all of this research of people who had not only lost a little bit of weight and cleared their skin through eating more of a plant-based diet, but people who had also reversed degenerative diseases, cancer, fibromyalgia, Lyme's disease, multiple sclerosis, right?
Yeah.
At those levels, people were consuming more of what's known as a raw food or a live food diet, so not cooking any of their vegetables to get all of the enzymes and all of the vitamins, and then supplementing, of course, with herbs, essentially detoxing their body to get rid of the sickness through the raw foods and the herbs. And I was just like, mind
Mind blown.
blown, right? Because I had
Yeah.
never heard anything like this before. I never even knew that there was an alternative to the dietary lifestyle that I was following previously.
Yeah.
So I became obsessed. I'm the type of person, when I learn something new
Yeah.
and I see that it's working for me, I'm sold. I'm
Look, I'm
done. So
in.
I'm
I'm in.
in.
Yeah.
100%, both feet, not looking, just jump,
You're like,
right?
just look, nope.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and from that day, I never went back to eating meat, right? So, about a year and a half later, I eventually got rid of the dairy as well and was 100% plant-based. So, I was telling this story. I had to go back and tell that about the food. Okay, perfect. Remember, at Mattress Firm, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
now we're fast forwarding to about, because I lost my job, had to move out of my house, move back with my parents, got this job at Mattress Firm, right? Still maintained my plant-based diet through all of those ups and downs because it's very economical to be plant-based,
Yeah.
honestly. And so got the job at my Mattress Firm, saved up enough money, got a new place, was kind of on my feet, was doing well with that job. It had different kind of earning potential. So I was able to kind of get to a point where I was able to take care of myself, right?
Yeah.
Now, once things kind of stabilized, that little itch started coming back. Like, you not doing what you supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
Now, I was feeling much better now, right? In
Right.
terms of mental clarity, in terms of my health. I didn't have any physical pain in my body. And so I feel like that's important. I mentioned that because I feel like that's was put me in a position to be more aware and receptive to signs and messages and guidance,
Yeah.
right? And so I was at work at Mattress Firm and I was looking for jobs and I saw this posting for a retreat director for a massage and skin therapy clinic in South Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Now, I've always been about my self-care, right?
Yeah.
I am a Cancer sun. So I love like the nurturing and the water and the warmth and the love and the like pampering and the
Yeah.
self-care. That's my thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that posting kind of jumped out at me because I'm like, well, that might be nice to work in that kind of setting, that kind of relaxing, setting. And because I had management experience with Mattress Firm, I now was qualified, thank you God,
Oh,
right,
look, see,
for
look.
that position,
Won't
right?
he do it? Yes,
Won't
he
he do
will.
it, girl? Didn't want to be there, but he was just qualifying me to
Girl.
where I needed to be, right? So
Honey,
I
let
was
me tell
like, I'm going to parlay this,
you.
retail management experience and see if I can, get this opportunity. So I applied for the job and immediately got a call back, right?
Yes. Oh gosh.
Interviewed for the job, got it. Okay. Now, at this point, I was like, maybe I want to go into massage therapy, right?
Okay.
So, because again, this background that I have in holistic health and wellness, and then coupling that with my personal interest in self-care and therapy and regeneration of the body and all this kind of stuff, everything that I had learned from going plant-based, seeing people, having the experience to see people heal themselves from cancer firsthand, right?
Yeah.
Through
Yeah.
lifestyle and through food. I was inspired by that. And I was like, maybe it's massage therapy, and that's why I was attracted to this job. And so it's like, what I'm going to do is while I'm here and while I'm managing this retreat, I'm going to really talk to the massage therapist and see what the best schools are, see what their experience is, so on and so forth. So as soon as I got into the role, that's what I began to do. And what I realized was massage therapists got it hard, okay?
Girl.
I was like, this some hard work. They do about
I trained a girl that was a massage therapist, and she would come in like drained. Like she needed me to
gosh.
train her, like to pour back into her so she could pour back into her clients. Like I've heard it.
Listen, if you know massage therapists, give them a hug right now and pray over them
Yeah.
because it is hard work. And I mean, they were at where I was a director, they were doing about 5 to 7 clients a day.
Oh
And you're
yeah.
talking about deep tissue work and not only just the physical demand on the body to be able to perform that level of therapy, but also the emotional draining that it requires, because the reason why people are tense in certain areas usually has something to do with some type of emotion that they're holding on to. And you have to be able to work through that as well. And so I was like, this is great, but I don't know if this is what I want to do. So I'm like, here I am again, knocking up against the wall, like, Lord, give me a sign. So I'm working the job. It's a great position, but I'm like, okay, back to my drawing board, because I still haven't found that thing. So one of my first tasks that I was charged with upon taking this position was that our lead esthetician had just got a promotion, and she was moving to Dallas, where our headquarters was. And so we needed to hire her replacement plus 2 other estheticians, right?
Right.
So she and I worked together on that, because this person, of course, would be replacing her. She had the experience of being an esthetician and knew what to look for, but I kind of had the bigger picture of what we needed for the team. So we started interviewing together, and while I'm sitting in on these interviews and listening to the stories of these women who went to aesthetic school and why they went and what they had learned in their training as far as nutrition and how it related to skin, and how they're, eager to educate their clients on this connection and everything, I'm like, this seems interesting, right? And so then we would also have to, people who made it through to a certain level of the interviewing process would have to actually perform a facial, and we would have to observe it, right?
Yeah.
And so we're sitting in there watching one of the candidates do a treatment, and I'm in the treatment room, and I'm like, because when you're managing a retreat and spa, this was something else I learned, that's not a relaxing job. That's very, very demanding, very, very high pressure. Right.
Yeah.
But then when I got back into the treatment room, I was like, it's relaxing back here.
I like it back here.
I like it back here. And I like what she's doing. I could do that. I remember seeing her do the facial, and that was my thought. I was like, that's something I could do. So then my wheels started turning again. I was like, well, I have this, history with my skin. I had just been covering my skin up with makeup again at this point. And I was like, I never really had thought about, nor when I was seeing dermatologists back in the day for my skin, I never thought about skincare. Yeah. They never talked to me about, what are you using to cleanse and hydrate and repair and moisturize your skin? What are you using to care for your skin, right? So this was very interesting to me. And so I was like, okay, well, as we were doing interviews, I was like, now what school did you go to?
Doing
what
research.
Was your experience there? Okay. And, putting my own little questions in on the interview. So very long story short, well, it actually isn't a long story. I had started that job probably in the end of winter. By that summer, I had applied, got accepted, and had enrolled in an esthetician school.
Now, look, we're not playing no games. We're not playing. Listen, I didn't feel the
I'm just going to try it.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just going to try it. So that was, let's see now, Jamaica, that was in late 2015.
Listen, wait a minute. I would have thought you had been doing, girl.
No, I'm only going into about my 6th year of practice now. So I graduated from aesthetic school May 2016.
Wow.
And it was the best experience ever. When I tell you I excelled in school, I was the top of my class. Everybody we had to do what was called clinic, which was, we had in-class training for like part of the first semester. And then we were on the floor. We actually offered facial treatments and body treatments and waxing and stuff like that at discounted rates for people who wanted to come in so that we could get our hours and experience. Everybody wanted to come to me to get facials. Like, it was the best experience ever. And I, for the first time, was like, this is it.
Yes.
I was like, this is it, because it's not that physically draining, right? It's a very relaxing environment. It's something that I have a connection to in terms of helping people improve their skin, because I've been there, and it was so eye-opening to learn the proper care of the skin, because I was like, this is what I've been missing the whole time when I was struggling with my skin issues. It's nothing that can be fixed with the pill or with the cream.
No.
You actually have to cultivate skin health, right?
Come on now. You a skin cultivator, honey.
You have to cultivate it. And it's
Yes.
what you do on a daily, what you're eating, what you're thinking, how you're caring for the skin. So I was like, while I was in school, I was like, hey, this is it, you know? We were I don't want to use a name because it wasn't that positive, but at the school, every esthetician school, you use a certain brand. You're sponsored by a certain brand of skincare products, right?
Gotcha.
And those are the products that you use for your treatment. You have a specialist, a representative from that brand come in, teach you how to use those products and give you information knowledge about all of the products. And then their hope is that once you go out and you get your own place or you open your own spot, you'll use those products too, right? Gotcha. Well, my school was in Gastonia, right? So we were kind of in the country.
Yeah.
And our clientele was predominantly older Caucasian women, right? Yeah. So they had very thin, very sensitive, very fragile skin. And we were using a product brand that was very concentrated in a lot of exfoliating chemicals. It was more of like a high-tech delivery system kind of product where cutting edge technology merged with salicylic acids and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Long story short, it was burning our client's skin to the point where, and not just with me, with all of the other students as well, to the point where we were unable to actually go through a full treatment without having to stop and take the product off and put aloe on the person's skin, right? And give them a minute to calm down. You know, people leaving with red faces and thinking that's normal. So I'm like, I can't use these products, you know?
Yeah.
Especially because I had friends and family that was coming in, you know, to support me, coming in to see me. And I'm like, I wouldn't use this on my face. I don't want to use it on their face.
Yeah.
So I had started making skincare products at home to bring in to use in the treatments, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of my personal interests that I've always had, especially with being in the wellness industry and with being in massage and skin therapy, working at that clinic, I had developed like this love for working with different herbs and essential oils and clays and different hydrosols. And so I had a cabinet full of like rose water and pure aloe vera gel and different bentonite clays and kaolin clay. And so I was like, I'm just going to mix up like a cleanser and a toner, just a generic, you know, product line for me to use on people's skin so that they don't have these adverse reactions. So started using these products on people's skin at school. Jamaica almost got kicked out of school for it because we wasn't supposed to do that.
You wasn't supposed to do that.
I wasn't supposed to do that. Okay.
Like what?
No, but I saw a need. I'm like, y'all ain't giving us any other options. So it was kind of on the low. I was like, you know, and people's skin started improving. Just like you, at the end of their treatment, they'd be like, oh, my skin looks really good.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, look, come back next month. Let's see if it gets better, you know? Yeah. And so after about a month of noticing, like hearing people say at the end of their facial, like, my skin looks really good. Thank you so much. I love the way my skin looks. My skin has never looked this way before. It's so soft. It's so smooth. It's so hydrated. I look back at these products that I made and I was like,
you own to something, girl.
Right. So I had picked 5 clients. There were 5 women that always came to me. One of them is a lady who is still my client to this day. She was actually the first person I ever did a facial on. She's still my client right now.
Wow.
Picked 5 of them. And I was like, listen, I made these products. I know that you trust me. You know that you've been seeing improvements in your skin. Would you mind if I like take pictures of your skin right now and we kind of like do this for like the next 2 months and see if your skin improves at the end, see if it looks better, if it feels better? All of them were like, yeah, absolutely. So I had them coming in on an every 2-week rotation just because we had such a short amount of time, right? to have them coming in every 2 weeks doing these facials, every single case, Jamaica, their skin became more radiant, more resilient, less red, brighter, texture had improved, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to start my own practice and I'm going to have my own products.
Let's go.
Okay.
I'm so hyped.
So that was my goal. Once I graduated, I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm gonna start my own practice. This is gonna be the products that I use.
Yeah.
Never really had intention to retail them. It was just gonna be the products that I use in my professional treatments. So graduated from school in May, and about a month before graduation, we had gotten a new instructor, woman of color, love her to death. We was the only two up in that place, right? And she had come from Aveda. Right.
Yeah.
And so she was like, you know, you have a lot of talent, you have a lot of passion. I'm going to put in a word for you at the Aveda Institute. And it just so happened that my mom got her eyebrows done at this place, which was an Aveda concept salon as well. And so there's different salons around Charlotte, different spas around Charlotte that are kind of like Aveda concept, right? Yeah. And so, long story short, my instructor came to me one day and she was like, I want you to apply for this position. And it happened to be the same place where my mom got her eyebrows done.
Yeah.
So I went with my mom to get her eyebrows done to kind of check out the place, and, you know, see everybody, see how it felt. And I was like, this is a nice place. And so we talked to the lady there, and I had told her that my instructor had recommended them, that they were hiring for an esthetician. And the lady was like, yeah, like, I would love to have you come in for an interview. And so I was like, okay, you know, I already had my plan. I already knew what I was going to do. So I wasn't really banking on that opportunity, but I was like, it might be a good experience to interview with an actual salon and spa, just to kind of see, because I had never, outside of my last position, really worked in that industry for a long time.
Yeah.
So I applied for the position. They hired me on the spot before I'd even graduated. Wow. They were like, we're just gonna let you work the front desk, because what I did was I had to perform a facial on the lady. And at the end of the facial, she was like, when can you start?
Girl, I would say, right? I know you got that. If that was your interview, you had that child. She was like, you can have at a salon.
So I was like, well, I don't graduate until May. And this was about like January or February. And she was like, well, if you want the position, what we can do is just have you work the front desk, right? You can manage our front desk, learn kind of like the ins and outs, scheduling and everything. And then once you graduate, you can transition to your esthetician role. So I was like, okay, you know, thank you for the opportunity. Went back to school and still was focused on opening my own practice once I graduated, right? Yeah. So as part of our graduation process, we actually had to pretend like we were opening our own practice, right? And present that to the school, to our instructors. And we had to look at startup costs, and we had to create a name, and we had to create a service menu. We had to see what our profit would be in terms of, you know, our inventory and the cost of treatment, like break everything down in a lot of detail on how to run your own business. Yeah. And in the process of doing that, I'm like, I got to buy all this equipment, have rent, all this overhead straight out of school. And I don't have, you know, a clientele. I have these 5 ladies who I've been doing facials on, but that's going to be nowhere near what I need to like sustain a business. Right. Yeah. So I said then that, you know, I allowed doubt to kind of creep in. Oh. But I realized that this too was part of the plan, right? There really is nothing, right? There really is nothing that can be outside of the plan, right? Yeah. But what I decided was, I was like, I'm going to take this Aveda job, right? Because I get to come into a treatment room that's fully equipped. I don't have to have any overhead, and I can just get right into practicing and building my clientele and earning, right? Yeah. So that's what I did. As soon as I graduated, I started working in that role, really loved working with the Aveda brand, really loved the position. I, however, was not earning as much money as I thought I would, because they take so much of your money when you're working for someone else, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was a little bit disheartening, but I was like, I'm still going to make it work. And from where I was at that point mentally, I was like, I'm just going to stay with Aveda. I'm not really going to do my own thing anymore, because it's going to be stressful. It's going to be too much, too demanding. Like, I really don't want to have to deal with all that. I just want to come in, being small, basically.
Yeah. Oh.
I was like, I just want to come in, work, and leave. You know, I don't want to have to deal with the marketing and the promotion and the taxes and the, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
So I got really comfortable in that position, and I was with them for almost 2 years, maybe a little bit less. And there were two straws that broke the camel's back, right?
Yeah.
The first one was that I wasn't making any money, right? The second one was that, and I mean, I at one point, I mean, I had fully booked books, like the busiest esthetician that they had on their staff.
I'm not surprised.
You know what I mean? But bringing home, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wait a minute.
Like, now I'm bringing you in this money, but
and that's the way the system is set up, right? Yeah. And so that was the main thing. I was like, this is not what I signed up for. The second thing was that I was having clients who were having adverse reactions to the products, right? And
and that's so.
The thing with the Aveda is great product line, you know what I'm saying? But it's not, they use natural ingredients in their formulations. Their products themselves aren't actually natural, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so when you use those particular products, let's say just a facial treatment once a month, once every 6 weeks or so, it performs well. But when you're getting somebody on the entire system, at least this was my experience, right? Because again, my experience was, once I got people using those products on a daily basis to care for their skin, on top of using those products in their monthly treatments, they were too high performance and they would cause irritation and sensitivity in the skin, right? They were more used just for one-off facial treatments, specialty facial treatments, but not necessarily the best option for every day, right? So started having issues with clients who were using the products. And again, where I was working, they never had an esthetician who came in, had people on a monthly skincare regimen, had them with the full daily care at home, right? So they had never seen the products performing in this light, right? And so, but for me, I'm like, this isn't working out. These products are too strong for them to be used in this way. So that little itch came back. Well, you know, this ain't really where you're supposed to be anyway. You know, you already have a whole product line created, and you over here selling other people's stuff that, you know, in terms of integrity of ingredients, is not the best option. Right.
Because then it's got to be hard. Because I mean, just because I know you, I know that was like, I can't keep doing this to my people. I can't do this to my people.
Exactly. It was like, as comfortable as I am.
Oh, that comfort.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I can't keep using this. I can't, in good consciousness, keep recommending something that I know is not the best option for them, right? So I brought back, dusted off all my products that I had used, brought it back, started using it in my treatment room there, which caused a little bit of a conflict of interest, right? Because we were, you know.
What's the sell?
So I was like, had lunch with my mom one day, and I'm dealing with all this, like, okay, I'm in a place where I have to use a certain product. I know that there's better options. I'm not making any money. I'm talking to my mom about this over lunch. And she looked at me and she said, I'm gonna give you 2 weeks. to find you an office space so you can start practicing.
Come on, mama. Come on, mama.
She said, this is foolishness. That was her exact word. She was like, you're so much better than this, and you already have what you need. She was like, 2 weeks, right? I found, and I was like, and here's the thing. I really didn't want to, because I was like, Mom, it's going to be so much responsibility. I really didn't say that to her, because I know the way she said it, I don't need to have a rebuttal. Right?
Yeah, she's like,
I'm saying this to myself. I'm like, okay, got to get my mind right, because I want to be comfortable. Yeah. I don't want to have to do all this hard work, but I'm going to have to do it. Right.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're sharing that though, Airest, because I think so many people can resonate with that. It's so easy to get stuck in the comfort. Like complacency is an easy place to quote unquote rest, even though you know there is more within you.
Know there's more.
Yep. Okay, carry on. This story is so good. Okay, go. Go.
So I left that day, that lunch with my mom, and on my phone started looking for office spaces, right? Within a week, I had found a location. Went to go see it. It was perfect. Did you start seeing me at my first office, Jamika?
I did. I started seeing when you had a little keypad. And
found a cute little office space right uptown, literally 3 minutes from my house. I was like, this is perfect. Went ahead, put my notice in with Aveda, packed up my stuff, moved out, had about a week's time where I could just like kind of regroup, refocus before I started taking clients at the new location. Yeah. And so this was around Christmas time, about December that I moved in. I took time to set up the studio, time to get my products. I had to have labels made, because up until this point, the products that I had been using had just been in like glass jars, no label or anything on it. Yeah. But in order for us to be able to use those products in a treatment room, by state board regulation, they have to be labeled and they have to have the ingredients on it and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to make these little labels to put on there so it looks nice, when people come in and they see it. And I was like, what am I going to call this skincare line? I'm like, I was like, people aren't really going to see it. It's not going to be for home use. So I'm like, I'm just going to put my business name on there, Airest Dion Skin Therapy. Boom. Right. Yeah. Have my products, started doing facials. And when I first started, I was probably doing about 4 facials a week.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
My workload now, I do about 4 facials a day.
Oh, girl.
Right? Yeah. And had transitioned to that point within a month of opening my practice.
Because it was meant to be. That is where you were supposed to be.
That was and I finally had that feeling like, this is it. And how I knew was because it was so easy. I wasn't doing anything to, attract clients. It was just like new people were popping up, the sister or the mother or the cousin or the aunt of somebody that I had done a facial with previously, somebody who saw me on Instagram. And so my books just started filling up, and to the point where it was like I was booked a month and then 2 months in advance.
I know.
And right. And I was like, this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so then the last puzzle piece was after I had started, getting these people on a routine, my new clients on a routine, and they were coming in every month. They were like, well, Airest, my skin looks great when I leave my facial treatment, but what am I supposed to be using at home for my skin, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, ideally you would be using the same products that I'm using in treatment. And they were like, well, can I get the cleanser that you use? Like where can I get it? And I was like, well, I don't have it available for retail. It's just for professional treatments. And I remember one of my clients, she was like, well, you need to make it available for retail.
Yeah.
And I was like, good point. And so that's what I did. I developed, this was it's funny how little puzzle pieces come together. Before I started skin therapy school, I was really interested, of course, as a new vegan, I was really interested in learning how to grow my own food. And so this was like in 2013, 2014, I had volunteered at an organic farm. And it was one of the only organic farms here in North Carolina. And while I was there and learning about agriculture and growing different fruits and vegetables, the lady who owned the farm also grew different herbs. And so I like spent a portion of my time just learning how to cultivate and grow different herbs. And she wholesale or sold those products wholesale. So through my relationship, I gave her a call because I'm like, I need all of these ingredients that I'm using, but in like bulk sizes, right? So I called her, was able to source some of my ingredients from her. She then had relationships with people overseas that could get me the product, the ingredients that I needed that she didn't have. And so slowly but surely, I started to like kind of weaving everything together and developing these relationships with organic farmers in Morocco and in Bulgaria, here in the States, right? To source these very high quality of basic natural ingredients to create the skincare line. And by Valentine's Day, so again, this was like December, January, by Valentine's Day of that next year, I had the skincare line. This was 2017, had the skincare line available for retail online.
Wow. Airest, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm so glad that your client said, so what we supposed to do out here?
Right.
Yeah, with you. Because that would have been my question.
Right.
As soon as you finished my first facial and you turned that mirror around and I saw my face, the very next thing I asked was like, so do you sell this? That was like the next thing. And you were like, yes. And I'm like, okay. And you would get ready to run me prices. I'm like, girl, it don't even matter. And I don't even have it like that. I said it like I was balling. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? I'll sell something off my car real quick if that's what it costs. Girl, the way the skin looking, I will find a car to go sell. I will come back and get this. But that was the thing. I was like, if it looks like this at the end of the treatment, I need this like daily.
To use daily. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that my client said that, because that's really, yes, it's necessary to get your professional treatments and your deep cleansing monthly, if possible. But what's even more important is how you're caring for your skin daily, right? And this is going back to how I was talking about how that's what I was missing in terms of what my dermatologists were teaching me. Nobody ever talked about daily skincare, right? No. Nor from my research, were there any skincare lines that used basic, simple, natural ingredients. Like instead of having a toner that has 10 to 12 to 15 different ingredients in it, I needed something that was like a pure rose water or a pure lemon balm hydrosol. Like, just like with what I found was that when you use these natural ingredients that are full of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, when you use them in their natural form, when you're using these products on a daily basis, what we're doing is we're essentially feeding our skin. Right? We're feeding our skin nutrients. And when you have more complex formulations, it dilutes the effectiveness of all the ingredients that you're using, right?
So even though it says all these good things, it's like the other stuff that you put in there, the good stuff can't even.
Right. Even using a multitude of different good stuff ingredients, right? It cancels everything out, because it's just like our digestion, right? Our body digests food in simple combinations. That's why a lot of people in the raw foods world, they'll talk about mono meals of one fruit, right? So normally people, when they go into this diet, because now I've been doing the raw vegan thing for almost four years. But when you first go into it and you have like a fruit meal, you want bananas and papaya and oranges and star fruit, and you want, this big pretty plate of things. But people don't realize that it takes different times to digest different foods. Right. So if the meal is complicated, it kind of like makes the digestive system work ineffectively, right? Whereas if you were to eat one meal of papaya, right, there's much more ease in the digestion and the assimilation of those nutrients. So the same thing with our skin. When you're using products that are really complex, the skin's not able to really absorb and utilize all of the nutrients because there's so much going on. It's
Yeah.
so busy. Whereas if you're using a simple product that has just one ingredient, maybe 3, 4 at the most, the skin is it's much easier for the skin to assimilate those nutrients and for it to do what it needs to do. So kind of applying that same concept of ease and digestion and using it and keeping that in mind when formulating the products. And I believe that that's why I'm able to see such rapid results with my clients, because their skin's actually able to absorb and utilize the nutrients that it's taking in because the products are so simple.
Girl, let me tell you what. I told y'all, get into it. Here's where I was blown. A lot of times, especially with me, like y'all, I'm gonna find a picture and post it, because I don't think people understand. Like, you even have one, but the picture that you have was still
after like
the first so people don't really know what my face looked like coming in. So when I saw you put up a side by side comparison on your thing with my face, and people were impressed with that, and I'm like, y'all don't even know, like, this before was after a couple treatments. It's hard for people to even fathom like what it looked like. I seriously had very few spaces on my face that didn't have that hyperpigmentation. It was like everywhere. They were dark. And so in addition to that, little pussy breakouts, I always say like the little thing, like the little corn you could pop out, like, popping corn off my face. Like, it was like that, so even though my personality is like big, that was such an insecurity for me. It's like somebody always talking to people and in front of groups of people, but to feel like people like, I know they're looking at all the stuff on my face. There's no way they can't. You know what I mean? But what I was surprised with, so when I come to you, when you have oily skin, a lot of times, out here in media or whatever, they feed you, get this stuff to suck out the oil out your face. And you hit me on the other side. So y'all, me and my oily skin, which is no longer oily, you taught me like, well, girl, your skin is oily because it's trying to produce the oil that you're not putting into it. Like, that's why it's so oily. I'm like, huh? So with my skincare with Airest, I use 3 products on my face, and 2 of them are oil, which is mind-blowing because you would think I got oily skin. Why would I put oil on there? Right. So here I am cleansing my face with oil. Y'all, I cleanse my face with oil. Not no water, no nothing. Oil. Make sure my hands are clean. And then you said be gentle. I wish you could see me because I try to channel you. I'm like, be gentle. I'm like trying to use my fingertips to simulate what you did. So I'm like that. Then I'm like, gently taking that oil off my face, spraying my hydrosol. And then and girl, I'm for real. I wish you could see me channeling you. I have a little envelope. I'm like,
I love it.
Let it dry. Then I spray it one more time. But while that is still wet, I put the other Moroccan oil.
Argan oil.
There it is. Yeah, it is. And I'm massaging this in. What is beautiful. So it feels so. It makes my skin feel so supple. Like it feels like it's getting what it needs. But the other crazy thing is, after I massage it and it's good, if you would look, like it looks like it's a lot on my face. In a few minutes, it is gone.
It absorbs everything.
It absorbs so quickly. And then here I am with like this glow.
Beautiful, Tamika.
I'm looking at myself every day. Like, I mean, every day, just amazed that this is my skin. Girl, I'm serious. I'm so glad you felt the itch that needed to be scratched. And I'm so happy your mama said, stop playing.
Right.
Exactly. Why are you playing? Because we needed that. Like, the world needed you. We needed you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Now, in that, so through doing this, you have your own thing. And y'all, she's not exaggerating. I immediately after the first one was like, so how I get back in here with you? Because Tasha gave me an appointment, but how do I get in? And so you had like what you call it, I don't know what you call it, like a loyalty, like, hey, you want to book in advance?
Absolutely.
And I was like, book me out. I don't even share about you. This sounds selfish until I check with you. I'm like, how many, I got my appointments booked. You're like, yeah, okay. Then I tell people about you. Okay. So you can go. I'm like, I got to make sure I got my appointments.
Right.
Because you're so full. It's so hard to get in with you because, like you said, your word of mouth, you don't even have to advertise.
Yeah.
Which speaks volumes. You're just word of mouth. People see people's
Thank
skin
you,
and say, who are
God.
you going to? So if you were to look online to try to get in with her, like try to book an online skin consultation to see if you can get up in there. Um, but you have become such a huge part of so many people's self-care, including
Mm,
mine.
thank you.
Having said that, one of the pieces that I think we leave, so you've told all these stories and how you're looking out for everybody and you're changing lives.
Yeah.
Even in the process of doing that, though,
Yeah.
sometimes we can pour out and we're not refilling that
Absolutely.
pitcher that we're pouring from. So on the
Right.
last episode, when I was talking about self-care isn't selfish, I was sharing your story.
Yeah.
I had just gotten, I had a little self-care for myself. I went and got myself a tea from Starbucks. I was sitting in the parking lot and I got the notification for my facial coming up. I was like, yes, God. Because it's a little surprise. I don't even keep up with it. It's like I wait for the reminder and it doesn't matter what I have. If something was planned, I'm like, oops, well, you're canceled. I'm going to see Airest. And so I just got that. I was excited. So I was sitting sipping my tea. I was just sitting still. I was going through Instagram and your story came up.
Yeah.
And so you were sharing the day before that, you had shared that you had been dealing with it's endometriosis, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, I had no idea. Like you
Yeah.
had never brought that up. You're such a professional. Like anytime you've been
Mhm.
tired or in pain, I've never known. So I was like,
No.
what? So you shared that, and I sent you a message, and lots of people sent you a message like, "We didn't
Yeah.
know. Are you okay?" So you come back the next day sharing, thank you all for reaching out. I know I don't necessarily share all this stuff all the time, but it's something that's been going on. And then you shared that in giving self-care to so many others, because again, you're inundated. Everybody wants to get in with you. Like you like the hottest ticket in Charlotte. For real.
Thank you, Meek.
And then you trying to keep up with that, you start to get neglected. Like you're
Right.
neglecting your own self-care. So you said it is because of this, and I know that I'm off. Like I eat very healthy foods, but I'm not eating enough.
Yeah.
And one of your other stories, you said even though I'm eating vegan, sometimes I'm eating processed vegan
Yeah.
stuff. So I know that I need to make some changes within
Yeah.
this. You're like, so, and it is for that reason that I'm getting ready to take off for December and January. And I was like, yay. I was I was I was supportive. No, so initially I was like, what? Because I'm so used to coming to you. You're such a huge part of like my thing. So I was like, oh God. But at the same time, I felt that in my soul, I felt that.
Yes.
And I was so proud of you because
Thank
um
you.
we just don't, especially women, we are naturally, and sometimes I say naturally, and sometimes society has just ingrained that in us that we
Mhm.
are the givers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we give and we glorify work, 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 work,
Yeah.
doing it all, handling it all, team no sleep. Like I don't want no parts of that. You know what I'm
No,
saying? Like, and that's something that
it
I've
doesn't
had
sound
to,
good.
yeah, it's something I've had to cut off because that's what you get fed all the time. You are superwoman, but
Mhm.
superwoman don't mean doing all the things all the time to the point that you are not only superwoman, but super tired, super burned out. And so you said, listen, I'm taking a break. And
Yeah.
again, as much as I was like, oh, I was still like, yes, let's normalize this
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
knowing
Thank
how to take
you.
breaks and knowing when our bodies need some. Because how are you gonna take how can you be part of my self-care if you're not taking care of yourself?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
so let's just tell me, like, how has it been over these last couple, it's been about a month and a half now, six
Yes.
weeks how have these 6 weeks of your own self-care been?
Jamaica, let me tell you, so refreshing,
Mm,
right? I didn't realize how tired I was until I stopped to rest, right?
Yeah.
Because again, keep in mind, when I started my practice in 2015, it had just been go, go, go since then up until December when I decided to take time off.
Yeah.
You know, it had been making product, processing orders, shipping orders, social media marketing, maintaining my clientele, following up with clients, like just.
And you do this by yourself. I
By
let people know,
myself. And
like,
that's another lesson I've learned, like having this time to pause and rest has been giving me the opportunity to be like, okay, Airest, what do you need? You know, I never had the time or space to really assess what I needed to make things easier for myself because I was always on go.
Yeah.
You know, and being always on go meant that simple things like eating would have to be put on the back burner, you know?
Yeah,
and then I found myself, because I only have but so much time between clients, and then on my lunch break, I'm processing orders. I'm like, well, let me just grab something quick, you know?
Yeah.
And because I knew that I'd always had issues with my menstrual cycle and the pain of it, but wasn't really diagnosed with endometriosis until 2017. And so I knew that my body felt best and that symptoms were suppressed when I was on a 100% live food diet, so 100% raw food.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of time to prep those foods, and they don't necessarily travel well when I'm going into work, right?
Yeah.
So I would just be like, okay, let me just grab a quick vegan burger, you know, process. Yeah. Let me just grab, you know, a Lara bar, or, you know, some type of fruit and nut bar, you know. And so just quick little things to eat, but never really having a full nourishing meal the way that I knew that my body needed to perform properly, right?
Yeah.
So, and that I feel like caught up with me over time to the point where it made me sick, right? And I was again struggling with these issues that I hadn't had to deal with for years because I was more in a position then to take better care of myself.
And not sleeping. So you're not getting that adequate rest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not exercising, like my whole routine, because again, I'm big on self-care. So it's like, I know that I need to be exercising every day. I know that I need to be getting in the bed by 10 p.m. I know that I need to be preparing healthy meals for myself. I know I need to be doing my yoga and my meditation. I know I need to be journaling. I know I need to be, you know, spending time with friends and family. I know that all of those things contribute to my health.
Yeah.
But when you're like a two-time entrepreneur, because me dealing with clients is one thing, but then running the skincare line is another.
Yeah.
It's like I found myself putting those things off because I just need to get this done. Let me just get this done, and then you'll do something for myself. Let me just, and then it never happens, you know? So that's when I was like, although it pains me, because I've probably in my almost 6 years of practicing have only rescheduled like 2 appointments. Because
that's a lot. That's
because I'm like, I appreciate it so much that I had people that were wanting to come and see me. I'm like, I would never dream of actually asking them to reschedule or asking them to cancel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had prayed so long to have these people. But when I got sick again, I was like, okay, Airest, this is like the red flag, because I shouldn't be dealing with this, especially when I have the wisdom and the knowledge of how to care for myself.
You know better.
I know better. So then that's when I was like, I'm going to take, because the holidays were coming up. I typically usually take half of December off anyway. Okay. We'll work the first 2 months of December and then take the last 2 weeks off for the holidays. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the whole month of December off. And while I'm at it, I'm going to take all of January off as well.
Throw January in here too. You know what?
Just throw January in there too, and give myself 2 solid months to just focus on me. Yes. Give myself facials, take salt baths, go get a massage, make myself food, exercise, be out in nature, you know, and recharge. And it has been just that. I have been in the real world, you know, like even to the point where it's like I've not really been on social media as much, because that's part of my healing as well. Like
Yeah.
just connecting in the real world and
Yeah.
just being present in the moment, and taking time to just breathe. One day I didn't do anything, but I was like, you know what, I breathed today.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it has been such a healing and such a therapeutic experience to be able to take time off and to be able to pour into myself.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you because again, it just needs to be normalized.
Yeah.
I well, I was a teacher, then I transitioned into training, and with the training at the gym that I'm at, it's like it's not like if people coming in, and so I'm training huge groups of people. And when we first started, we didn't have like a solid training team, so I was like the primary trainer. I think we had like 35 to 37 camps a week, and I was training all of them but two or three. I was so worn down. But what I realized when I got towards the end, when I got to the point where I was just like I physically couldn't function anymore, I was like in a constant state of exhaustion. Now, and then I felt embarrassed because as a trainer, I was out of shape. I mean, per se, you know what I mean? Like, because I wasn't eating right, or when I did eat, I wasn't eating a lot, but then when I did, it was something quick. And so here I am, like putting on body fat, you know what I mean? Feeling sluggish, but I'm up here trying to train people. I was like, I almost felt like a fraud. You know what I mean? Like, how am I pushing people to take care of themselves? And here I am running. I can't even. Yeah, I was just like in a fog. And then I finally not spoke up. So let me take that back. Nobody was forcing me to do that. The reason I had never said anything was just because, again, there's this hustle mentality. You know what I mean?
Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, this is what you do. So when I talk to the women, because I'm in a gym that's primarily for women, the women who are actually the franchise partners, the minute I spoke to them and I was like, listen, I'm just physically exhausted. I don't think I can, there's no way I can keep this up. The first thing they said was like, okay, like tell us what you know what I mean? It was just a matter of just saying it. It wasn't even speaking up for myself, because it wasn't like they were like, get in there, it wasn't that type of situation. It was just
expressing how you feel.
Yeah, but as long as I wasn't saying anything and I'm smiling and hey, it looks like it's all good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then the minute I said like I'm exhausted, they were like, okay, like tell what can we do? How can we help? Because they're moms too, running multiple businesses. They're like, okay, like let's talk about it. Let's figure this thing out. So that's what I felt when I saw you, was like, you knew you were tired, but you had been going for so long. And again, you said, but I've been praying for these clients and this is my business and I don't want to disappoint anybody else. We'd rather take care of others, which is fine, but put ourselves to the back, for the sake of following through on the purpose. And even God rest the child. You know what I'm saying?
Hello, yes.
So that's why I'm like, we need to normalize that, taking care of yourself. Because I can say now, my schedule is totally different and I'm so much more rested. But even in that, I still fight this desire to feel like I need to show up more. Yeah. And I have to fight it. I have to fight it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be there all the time. And you do have a worth, and your worth is not proved in your busyness. You know what I mean? Like, it's about yeah. So that's a hard thing. So I was just so inspired by you saying like, I'm gonna do this. But just again, I can't say it enough. Normalize this.
Normalizing it. Yep.
It's okay.
And it's like, I love what you said about our worth not being tied to our busyness. That is so true, and something that I personally am going to continue to repeat to myself like a mantra daily. But also us understanding that, especially people in our roles, and even if it's stay-at-home moms, because that job gets tiring too. The thing that we have to realize and understand is that it is impossible for us to continue to show up in whatever capacity it is, right? If we're not taken care of, and no one can take care of you better than you, right? So if it is our desire to give, which is, I think, is natural for women, if it's our desire to give and to nurture and to be present, the way that we do that is through taking time away and caring for ourselves,
Yes.
not by overextending ourselves.
Yes. And setting
Mhm.
boundaries for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
because it's easy for me to get caught up, even though I'll say to myself, like, well, you're not working consecutive hours. It's like throughout the whole day, you're still kind
Mhm.
of doing stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'll go do something, then I come back. And so it's just kind of setting those boundaries to allow yourself to
Mhm.
have that. Yesterday, I was like frustrated because I had like created this little checklist of things I needed to do. And so I get
Yeah.
to the end of the day and I wasn't even talking to my husband, to be honest with you. I was talking out loud to myself. We sit on the bed and I said, God, I just feel like I didn't get anything accomplished today. And he was like, you rested. And I was
Mhm.
like, okay, you are correct, sir. You know
You
what I mean?
are.
Like it was that like, why do I feel like I have to have this list of things that I have to
Yeah.
get checked off? Like it is okay to sit and rest. So like you said, it has to be a daily reminder that you give to yourself. Because it's easy one day to be like, you know what, I rest. I'm
Right.
tired. And then the next day be like, okay, so back to this list of things I did not do yesterday. And then
Right.
just be like, it's okay. You don't
It's
have to
okay.
get it all done. And, pick your prioritize, get
Right.
those things done. And then, but also prioritize your rest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just so happy for you. Because I want you to be
Thank
well
you.
just as a human. But I also want you to be, well as part of my self-care because you are
Yes. Thank
the
you.
bomb. I need people to understand. If you have
Mm.
been looking for some, I've been telling everybody, and I feel Tasha has given me the comfort to find ways to say to people like, hey, I had these skin issues, and I can see like that looks very similar to what I had.
Mm.
So I got I feel like I had to hook up. Look, I got a girl, y'all. I got somebody who can change your life now. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, before we go, I got
Yeah.
a couple things. What are your plans now, Airest, as you come
Yeah.
back to not fall back into the burnout cycle?
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at, so I'm like, are you going to, I mean, I ain't trying to give you your business plan, but are we going to find somebody who can fulfill these orders for you? No,
Yeah. So
at all?
definitely during this time, delegation has been the main lesson that
Yeah.
I've learned. Like, and that in and of itself for entrepreneurs, I don't know if you can relate, but that can be something that can be challenging too, just as like prioritizing self-care. It's like, can't nobody do it like me? But it's
Yeah.
like, no, there are fully competent people out there
Yes.
that can help. So that is something that I'm going to be doing some interviews to get someone on board to help with the product side of things with processing and customer service.
Yeah.
I'm also going to be, so this is a little bit of a call if there are other estheticians out there who might be watching this who are in the Charlotte area. I've actually had my facial technique trademarked. And so
Oh,
I'll be able to offer it as a continuing education course to other estheticians. So if you are a
yes.
licensed esthetician, you'll be able to take Airest Dion skin therapy training, learn how to use the products, and offer signature Airest Dion facials within your practice. And that way, that'll give me the opportunity to have other people who are kind of along the same mind frame who are able to give treatments other than myself, right? And allow
Yes.
other women to be able to build their clientele as well. So
Eris,
those
I'm screaming. I'm literally screaming on the inside. Let's
I'm
go.
so excited because I'm like, now, hopefully, of course, I want to start in Charlotte, but I definitely want to open this up to estheticians who are in other cities as well. So if you're in DC or Virginia or Miami or New York, you can still have access to signature Airest Dion treatments. And that kind of takes some of the pressure off of me of feeling like
Yes.
I'm the only one that can do this, while at the same time having assistance with the product line will help free up, some of my time so I can just focus on doing treatments, and not necessarily have all the other moving pieces that I'm the only one overseeing.
Air,
Overseeing.
I'm so serious. I could cry right now. I am so proud of you. I am
Thank you,
seriously
Jamika.
so proud of you. That is
Yay.
amazing.
Thank
That is,
you.
it's amazing. It's inspirational. I mean, just to see you, one, take care of yourself, and I just love you so much. But
I love you.
also somebody listening to this is going to get inspired.
Yeah.
I feel like part of my calling, especially in this new year, and one thing I've learned is, purpose evolves. But I do feel like part of my purpose right here is like just women's empowerment. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
not that I have to go out and do it, but just like sharing the stories of other women to be like,
Absolutely.
look what she did. You know what I mean? And like this could be you. So when I hear you say like, I want to like have a trickle effect for other women, let's
Absolutely.
serious. I am not exaggerating. I have like this feeling in my chest right now. I could like bawl and cry. I am so serious. That is amazing, Airest.
Thank you, Jamika.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, God is like, he's something else. He's showing out. And I'm so happy that you're allowing him to use you. Like
Thank you.
you've already changed lives. Now, not only are you gonna change the lives of people who are laying on your table, getting their experience, but
Yeah.
allowing other women to be able to do the same and to like provide. So now your experience can be shared through multiple hands.
Absolutely. That's exactly the goal. That's
Oh,
exactly the goal.
okay. Girl. I'm blown away. This is so much more than what I even thought. I'm so happy that we got to
Oh,
have this talk today.
thank you so
For
much for
real.
having me.
Well, look, tell people where they can
Yeah.
find you on Instagram. Let's give them all the deets.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook at Airest Dion Skin Therapy. My website is airestdion.com, and you can actually browse all of my services and book your appointment right online at that website as well. Um, and yeah, that's it. So Instagram, Facebook, and my website.
And you do offer virtual skin consultations too, right?
I do. Yes, I do virtual consultation and in-office consultations as well.
Okay, I think I'm about to send somebody away.
Please
Oh,
do.
I do. I be selfish, Airest. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, but I want you to succeed, and I know God gonna make a place for me in your schedule book.
Oh wait, listen. You know what? Let me say that right now. Okay,
Yes.
Jamika,
Yes.
you are going to always have a place with me.
Yes.
Period. You
Okay,
don't have to worry about nobody taking your spot.
I appreciate it. I'm like, I can't nobody take my spot. Look, my little bottles are like halfway, and I freaked out the other day, and I don't like texting you on the side, but I was like, oh, so look, I got to order this. I just need you to know, okay? And then look,
I
and then I
got
be
you.
double checking. I be
Orders
sending
over
back.
here right now. Get ready
I
to
be
go
like,
out.
my order, I just placed it. Like you don't get the notification. I just placed my order, Aaron. It's like that will never run out in my household.
Thank you so much, Jamika, honestly, for the support and for the love. I'm so grateful to have you in my life for sure. The work
I'm
that you're doing is amazing.
Oh, thank you, Aris. I'm just so happy
You're
Tasha brought us together.
welcome.
Like, I've loved you since
Yeah.
the day I met you. I just felt like we had already known each other forever.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy to know you. So grateful that you changed my life, and so excited for all of the other lives that you're about to change. You are it, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, so everybody just go ahead and follow her, because you're gonna see her on TV. She's gonna be on TV talking to people, and you can be like, I follow her. I know her. So just go ahead and no, but seriously, y'all, if you've been dealing with anything with your skin and you've been to
Yeah.
all the dermatologists and they kind of like turned you off and made you think it can't happen, your skin can get clear. Even if you don't live in Charlotte, get a skin consultation with her. Help her to let her help you figure out which one of her products work for you. Because now you don't just have one; you got different. It's levels to it.
It's levels.
It's
Yes.
levels to it. So she can find the correct level for you,
Mm-hmm.
and she can work that miracle for you.
Absolutely.
Well,
Thank
Eris,
you so much.
you are so welcome. I love you. Thank you
I
for
love
being on here.
you.
This won't be our last one. We'll be coming back and talking about like how Airest Dion skin therapy is taking over the nation. So we'll come back and talk about that. So we'll set a date and we'll come back and share with the people.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, well, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you have any additional questions about Airest or anything that she offers, I'll have that in the show notes for you. So you just go back, look in the show notes, or you can check us out on Instagram at Looking for My Fit, also on Facebook at Looking for My Fit, and I'll have all the information for there too. As always, thank you all for tuning in, and we will check you all later. Bye.
Bye.